Indeed. Well, the House and Senate passed a $1.3 trillion. It was a bill. It was only 2,232 pages long. You heard me earlier with Dick Morris call it the omnibus government spending bill this week. Maybe that's not polite, but that's as close to polite as I can get talking about it. It's not as many pages as L. Ron Hubbard's Mission Earth novel, but definitely just as strange in certain places. Both chambers of Congress approved this spending bill of biblical proportions and thereby prevented the government from shutting down until September. The House passed the bill with bipartisan support in spite of some opposition from conservatives. Republican leaders released the bill on Wednesday night, giving representatives a total of 17 hours to read it, or 131 of the third pages per hour of scintillating reading. I know that they all sat there and read it, right? No. President Donald Trump signed this bill after conferring with House Speaker Paul Ryan and Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell. So the bill does in fact better fund the military. That's good. And it gives the largest pay raise for our military in a decade. That's good. But it only gives 100 miles of border security construction, and it's not a wall, but a little fence. And so there's a lot not to like. There's language in the bill that bars the building of a wall on the southern border. Did you know that? And there is funding for the New York Gateway Bridge, which is a pet project of Democratic Senator Chuck Schumer. I'm sure you're all thrilled about contributing to that little piece of pork. Most galling, it continues to fund Planned Parenthood. I'm appalled by that. We shouldn't be using our tax dollars to help in the destruction of unborn babies. We should never, ever have allowed that to happen in the first place, and the Republicans should have stopped it. $1.3 trillion, and we didn't even get T-shirts. Some folks in our audience did, by the way. Story number 2. Following a 7-month investigation into intellectual property theft, President Donald Trump announced this week that he would impose additional tariffs on $50 billion worth of Chinese exports to the United States. Beijing countered with new import taxes on $3 billion of U.S. products, including pork, they get some pork out of Washington, as well as steel pipes. Now, this is about far more than cheap T-shirts and appliances at your local store. We're talking espionage and stealing ideas and technology. President Trump said repeatedly during his campaign that the United States had been ripped off by China, and he would take action to reduce the trade deficit with China. The president has demanded that China would cut the trade deficit with America by $100 billion. In addition to steel and aluminum, the White House targeted imported washing machines and solar panels. China's Commerce Ministry said that it wasn't afraid of a trade war, stating, "We are confident in our capability to face up to any challenge. We urge the U.S. to cease and desist." Well, maybe China will know that we aren't kidding when it comes to cheating and being played as chumps. Maybe you missed that one. We have a third story. This week, the president may have found a perfect match for himself and a national security advisor with the appointment of former UN Ambassador John Bolton. Oh yes, that John Bolton, the one who stated plainly that the UN doesn't work. The Security Council, the General Assembly, and the various human rights organizations have largely been failures. Boy, is he ever right about that. Never one to pull punches, Bolton replaces Lieutenant General H.R. McMaster in the role of National Security Advisor. In the end, John Bolton is good news for America's allies like Israel and bad news for our nation's enemies. The president announced Bolton's appointment on Thursday, making him Trump's third national security advisor since he took office. And that, my friends, are just a few of the things that maybe you missed.